So, welcome to the Reckoner map guide. I'm going to teach you how to play this map, the quirks, the basic strategies, etc. So, it's a good map, but it does have some differences to other maps, some similarities. Hopefully, it'll feel natural and familiar to most people. First thing I'm going to go over is just the rollout. Default rollout here is going to be out the right spawn. Go out the right spawn. You're going to go up here to the upper lobby, and then from here, I like to cut through here. And hence, this area I usually call Rollout, okay? Since it's the passage that we're going to roll out through. Then from here, you are presented with two options, but generally we'll come up through here. I call this House. And then from here, you have two options once again. So you do have a couple options, but generally if you come into House, it'll be a good starting point to either go to the left or to the right. Without, sacrificing too much height. You can come straight off here into the underpass, but... your height is going to be sacrificed. Could be useful, but personally, I would rather, if I'm going to be in this vicinity, I'd rather come out of this door. Then once you get on the mid, alright, how does this mid usually play? So it's an interesting mid in that the point is down below and then there's a lot of height above it. It does play similar to a lot of the modern maps, like I would say Sunshine, made by the same person, in fact, where there's a lot of rotations that happen on the mid. One team will take one side, the other team will take the other side, and they sort of like go around the outskirts, spamming each other and, looking for picks. So you're going to see a lot of that on this map, where if you, for example, claim this top left, where you're going to have really nice height, the other team will claim the top right, and there's going to be a lot of spam going across. One of the main areas you're going to want to control is going to be this crate. So if you can spam people off of the crate, it's going to be really strong. If you can hold your own crate, it's going to be really strong. The shed's okay too, but really the crate is probably the single most important piece of height on the entire mid. Another thing that's interesting here is this these towers here. You can't shoot through them actually, so you can get some cover from these if you want to chill behind this and, get vision. But you can also, jump off them as a soldier. So there are some high bomb opportunities. It might be a bit awkward just because of the angle of it, but you can use these towers for high bombs. Probably the most comfy way to do it would be off the interior here, where it's a flat wall. Because off the exterior here, you're going to need to get a pretty wide angle on it, like around here to get a flat wall, but definitely still doable. So something to keep in mind. Otherwise, the mid doesn't have a lot of high bombs, because the walls aren't super tall on this mid. You have this one over here, and then, maybe you could do a high bomb off of that segment right there, but otherwise you don't really have a lot of high bombs, so the mid tends to be a lot more spammy, especially for soldiers, and, skip jumpy, or go behindy. So your options would be like, say you take your own side. I'm on red, so I'll go to the red side. Say you take upper here, your soldiers could sit here and spam, or, they could try and start wrapping behind, like I mentioned. Pick up health packs, maybe wrap all the way behind there, wrap into house. You do have a lot of options for that kind of, flanking playstyle on mid for a soldier. So something to think about. But generally, yeah, it's just going to be claiming the height as much as possible. One position you really want to focus people on, though, if they are trying to play there, is on this bridge. Because the bridge is the most direct way to take ground on this mid, because otherwise you're kind of just like walking on low ground and all that. So anyone who's on this bridge should be high priority to focus fire. If you can, though, you also want to push the bridge, because it allows you to take this height, like I mentioned, and get close enough, for example, with like a demo or a scout. At this range, you're going to destroy people on those crates. So the battle is usually going to be over the bridge, really, from what I've seen. That's the high ground you want, because you can kind of just post up on these high grounds and prevent people from pushing the sides. But really, the bridge is going to be the most direct and powerful lane for claiming the other side. So that's a lot of what you're going to be wanting to fight for if you take your own side. However, the other option on mid is going to be to come out through this side door and go directly to the enemy side, right? This one can be a bit tricky. If you linger down here, you're probably going to die, because, again, you don't have a lot of height, and to walk up this ramp, it's kind of a bit of a spam trap. So you're going to want to be mindful of that if you ever take the right side. It's probably going to be better to just, claim it fast and pounce onto anything in this side. A nice spot, though, if you do come out this way, is onto this rock as a scout. It's one of the nice spots that you can jump on and off of and be in kind of an awkward height where they don't have easy splash on you. Because if they're, like, around here on the bridge, like, hitting that rock precisely can be tricky. You know, so this rock is actually a really nice spot for scouts to start the mid, because it just gives you, like, a central position. You can read what the enemy team is doing. That's especially useful. And then you can quickly, like, rotate to high ground, either directly onto the bridge, or you can wrap around this way. If you jump on this barrel, you can get onto the top of the crate. So that's a little tip for a scout early on the mid, is play this rock. It's a good initial position. You won't take too much damage, and it's good for rotating. Then, besides that, let me just talk a little bit about how the point works on this map. So obviously the point is on the low ground, so you can't cap while you're holding the high ground. So it can be a big sacrifice to send someone down here to cap. Usually capping is going to be an afterthought on this map. It's all going to be about positioning, securing the high ground, securing the chokes. And then after you've done that, that's when you cap. So the only other time you really should be down here is if you're making a play. There are some good playmaking opportunities with this low ground because, as I mentioned, people usually stay on the top. That you can sneak through here. Obviously, it's going to be incredibly risky. But if you got a DM monster or you got like some sort of strat you want to work around, sending one player, maybe a scout, maybe a soldier, it could be a bit dangerous to be at this height disadvantage as a soldier, but you know, you hit some upward directs, you hit some fat splash, you got a health pack, maybe you can make it work to lurk through here. That is a really great flank opportunity on this map, is to push through under, because if I'm sitting up here, my vision is very limited of that, and you get up like right in between or behind, and you might just find the medics chilling right here. So that is one thing to look out for on this map, is pushing underneath. And then the other thing that I'll mention is a lurk play. So lurking in this area, I call this garage. I've heard it called cargo, I think. No, sorry, the other one people call cargo. I've heard it called toxic. I've heard it called bamboo. And I've heard it called big door. There's a lot of different names. I'm probably going to either go with big door or garage, because, you know, we got a garage here, we got a garage there. I might just call this garage. But a lurk play is really good in here. Say you roll out your roamer, and he chills kind of right here, or he chills, you know, maybe down here, whatever. He can play over here. Your team takes the other side. Their team takes your side, and then he can come through here and shoot them in a back. So a lurk play can be really good on this mid, or obviously this door is really tall, so you can jump through here as well. You don't just have to like waddle your way through on this flank. It can be really good for a bomb flank as well. And you'll also find people trying to scurry for this health pack at times. They'll be good to clean up. So those are some flank options. I would say the flank players do have a lot to work with on this mid, because you have so many opportunities for different lanes to push, and the lurk opportunities, you can go behind. So there's a lot that your flank can do on this map, on the mid. But yeah, that kind of covers the mid, I would say. But again, I'll just emphasize that after you win the mid, very important, this is whether you're retaking mid or winning mid initially, it's very important you hold these forward positions. So say I'm the red team, I just won the mid fight, but they may have people alive still. Rather than stacking this point, it's going to be important that what we're doing is holding forward so that they can't just push in again. Because if you put someone on this cap, you're basically one player down, you know? So you do have to keep that in mind in your numbers calculations. Then what I'll talk about is positioning on like a mid hold. Again, this crate is a super important position to hold on a mid, because you can spot underpass. If you only stack your team forward on the right, you know, generally in this area, it's a comfortable place to hold, and you have a lot of health pack access, but you're leaving this entire side of the map open. So it's very important that you don't fully stack your defense on mid on this side of the map, because then you're leaving the entire underpass area open. And so, you know, conversely, that also means that this could be an avenue for busting into mid or trying to, you know, dry push, potentially. Can be risky because of the height disadvantage, but if they're improperly positioned and they're stacking over here, then that could often be a great place for initiation. So you definitely want to keep that in mind. So it's kind of similar to Villa, if you know that map. where you want to have someone so that they can spot books and choke. It's kind of a similar sightline here. You can spot underpass and a lot of the house crossing. So this is a crucial scouting position. Obviously, you know, you can mix it up and come a little more forward, you know, that kind of stuff. But as long as this side of the map is being watched, you should be good. All right, so now let's talk about opportunities into second point. So you do have 3 routes, which is, I would say, one of the main quirks of this map. Compared to other maps that have 2 or what I'd call 2.5, where you have like really intersecting routes. Like how on Sunshine, for example, the cafe and the choke are so close together. You can kind of cover both at the same time. On this map, it can be difficult to do that. Or like, say, Snakewater, for example, you have Saw, and then you have the kind of the choke lower, but then you also have the window, so it kind of interconnects them a little more. On this map, you don't really have any of that. So you kind of have 3 distinct lanes, which makes it very different than other maps. Makes it a bit tricky. But it does create opportunities, which I will explain. So the first main way you're going to break this choke point is through spam battling. You have a lot of room here. It's a big doorway. It's a big hallway that you can often have a favorable spam exchange with a demo around this corner, because obviously they're on the low ground. So you can kind of carpet this whole area off easily and create a little bit of space for yourself, and then try to like maybe work some more damage as you peek this. So that's option number 1, is to push through upper house spamming. Option number 2, the rest of these are more sack oriented, I would say, or flank oriented, just because of the positioning. Like, because this is the highest position you can get to peek, I would say this is kind of a default combo push, or, you know, it's still a decent sack opportunity because you can just high bomb through here, right? And blindside them around the corner, which is really nice for any sort of sack attempt. But the other routes are going to be really good for distracting or for, you know, just sacking through in particular. Underpass, for example, right here. Usually you're going to have a really easy time walking through this door if you just want to distract or just get in to maybe flank someone. And then this door, obviously similar to that one, it's very close to the default defensive positions. So it could be a good place to go if you have a quick distraction, or you just want to bust and get right on them. So for example, you know, say I'm a soldier and I'm kind of lurking down here. My team puts on a big distraction. I can bomb through here and get on them on the second point, and they may not see it coming, because if they're just going to sit here like watching this, they're going to be kind of vulnerable to any spam from house. So maybe what you do is peek house, force people off of these spots that cover underpass well, like here basically, and then you can send someone into underpass. Or say you have a winger scout, right? A winger scout could easily jump up this curb and then get in. Or another play you could do is sneak through underpass and go behind. Now you're creating some chaos. That's not a far distance to get behind. Obviously, you know, they do have high ground positions like this, or, you know, on the shed. So you may be walking into a bit of a dangerous area here, but a soldier can quickly do a rocket jump, maybe get through there. I don't know if, I haven't tried it myself, but maybe a skip jump or a pogo through here could get you right into underpass through one of these doors. That could work. And then you're really creating some chaos, because you're going to force people out of position to chase you, or you're going to be behind them and able to set up a flank of some sort where they're really going to have to deal with you. You got some health packs to collect, and you got lots of flank options through here. Or you just do the good old fake out, where you go into the tunnel, you chill for a second, then you come back out through the tunnel, and, you know, if you hug these walls, man, it's so hard to see you, because they'd have to literally be watching over the edge. You could hug these walls and sneak up through the point, hug these walls and sneak up this ramp again. Lots of opportunities there, right? So that's one good thing about the underpass. Or as I mentioned, just kind of for dry pushing. If you're dry pushing this, underpass can be a decent option just for minimal resistance, you know? Because there's rarely ever going to be anyone playing around here, I would think. I don't know, it might not be a bad defensive position for like a sneaky roamer, but usually people are going to be on these positions, and that's pretty far away from this door. This is probably the furthest away door from any of the high ground. So it would probably be the best one if you're trying to like just get in as a distraction. And there is a wall right here for high bombs. So your soldier could come through here, come lower, and then instantly high bomb off that. High bomb off that. He's in the skybox, like straight up. And that's a fantastic sack opportunity as well. Then we've got the garage, which can be good for, you know, baiting towards the point. There is kind of this no man's land over here that you could really draw a lot of eyes towards if you could get over here to destabilize the defense. Otherwise, you're probably just looking for, you know, you're looking to get a pick on anyone who's near the point. Though this height disadvantage is pretty rough, so yeah. But because you have so many routes, you can work a lot of different doors at the same time. So it could be pretty easy to break if you're creative enough. Then I'm going to talk about now the downside of this design. Wrapping. Could be good for you if you're a chaos team, but it could be really it could be a nightmare if you try to take things more methodically. As I mentioned, the routes can be very not only isolated from each other, but far away. Like that route is so far away from this, and there's pretty much no way to check what's happening over there unless you really commit someone to it. And that is what opens up a lot of backcap wrap opportunities. So if you can get an early read on where the enemy team is pushing into mid or into second, you can almost always overwhelm the opposite side of the map. So say, for example, your team is pushing through house here. They could wrap you in big door. Or if you're pushing through garage, big door, whatever, they could wrap you through underpass. So it can be really hard to cover these three routes when you only have 6 players. You get spread pretty thin. And it's almost impossible to cover all 3 adequately. So your combo and your flank are going to have to really make sure they're tracking what doors are being covered at each time. So you're aware of what wrap opportunities are happening or what flank opportunities are happening. And your flank are probably going to want to... I would say you're probably better off just keeping 2 people together rather than isolating one person on each. Like a 4-1-1 split. I would probably rather still keep with like a maybe 4-2 split or a 3-2-1 split where you have like maybe one soldier playing a little roamier, spotting a door alone, and he can maybe go for sacks on the other side of the map. That kind of split I think would work okay on this map, as opposed to something like Snakewater where it's a very, or Gully Wash where it's a very obvious 4-2 split between combo and flank. I think this map warrants maybe considering a 3-2-1 split where you have 3 people maybe here, 2 people on one of the other flanks, and 1 person on the third flank. So that could be something to consider for this map, just so you can cover everything. All right. Then what are we going to talk about? Let's talk about kind of committing into a push in a second. So this map is a bit awkward because a lot of the high ground positions are pretty passive at the same time, like as they are intimidating. So like this little bats area or this rollout to bats area, you know, it's kind of small real estate to just stand on. So a lot of times you feel like you have to stand passively when you're defending, especially if you're on an Uber ad. I feel like you could play really confident on this map because the exits are really hard to get to. Like, I can't exit out there as a medic. It's hard to exit out this because I have to get all the way here and then climb. So as a medic, you have to play pretty defensively here, usually on a disad. So a lot of times dry pushes are going to be really powerful, and bombs into the chokes are going to be really powerful. So what your soldiers are probably going to want to do a lot of the time when you're pushing this with an advantage is to just bomb and hit whatever's standing near these chokes. Because there's almost always going to be people here, and if they're slightly overextended and you bomb the choke, now you've successfully isolated someone. So say, for example, someone's like on the forklift, it might be better to honestly just bomb behind him and cut off his exit right here. Similar to what you do pushing Snakewater, where you would bomb, like high bomb out of saw or through lower off the walls and land on bats, because people might be defending on the point and you cut off their exit. It's kind of a similar thing on this map, though kind of smaller. compared to snake water in this section. Bombing to cut off exits is really good. And it would probably only leave Shutter as kind of their safest option. So, yeah. A lot of times you're just going to want to... If you're just going to pop through, you can take so much ground so fast on this map. Like, if you pop through here, out of house, you can instantly bomb both of these entrances. So you kind of just cut off half the map on an immediate Uber pop. And then, if anyone's on this shed, they're kind of caught as well. What are they going to do? Like, they either go forward, or they have to quickly drop down here, or they back out through Shutter. This map is really good for just popping around the corner out of here to catch people out. So, I think it's one of the best options on this map. If you are trying to just dry push, walk your Uber in, you know, these ones can work. I've seen people come through here and pop right through, but obviously it's a lot more distance, so you bomb your demo maybe. He could jump forward, but the chances of you getting a really good chase off of that are not quite as good. So, basically, if you're popping through immediately, and especially if you're bringing a soldier in the Uber, through house, I think is fantastic. If you're trying to, you know, I don't know, maybe get in as more of a milk or something, I think underpass or garage might be better. And then, you know, if you're trying to bomb your demo or something like that, then, you know, this one can be good too, because he can cover that distance. Like, if you're trying to push here, I'd probably break my demo for 2 reasons. For 1, shoot people off with a shed. And for 2, you can bomb forward and catch people, actually, whereas a soldier might struggle. Okay, now let's say we took second. What are we going to do now? So, this lobby is actually a little bit dangerous to take, because there are some spam lanes and sight lines, like, no matter where you go. Like, I don't feel very safe when I'm in this lobby, if I'm being honest, because this is so open. You know, not only could people bomb in here, but, like, there are some risky sniper sight lines. Like, if I'm literally just walking through here, I'm already in a sniper sight line while I'm in lobby. And that's a pretty deep sniper sight line. He's, like, very safe. So, it is worth being cautious about taking lobby. That you don't want to just walk in and, like, stand around in here aimlessly, because you are in some risk of sniper sight lines and spam coming in. So I would really only be in lobby if I'm, like, about to push or about to Uber. I don't really like hanging out in here, if I'm being honest. Because you are kind of at a little bit of a height disadvantage standing here. If you get here, like, you're just in the open. You know, people could be peeking anywhere, bombing into you, sniping you. And same up here, like... This sight line goes right into last. There could be a lot of spam coming through here. And as a demo man, you know, they can spam over this. Snipers could be watching this. Like, yeah. It's a dangerous lobby. Probably the most dangerous lobby in the game. So, it's something to be careful about. You don't want to just assume that lobby's the best place to be. So, I would suggest stabilizing on second. Make sure everyone's healthy before you enter lobby, as you should probably do on every map, but especially this map. Alright, so say we want to hold second. You know, we want to secure this. The best power position is this shed, by far, because you have a dominant high ground over Shutter. You have a clean sightline over, you know, this bats area, and then you can spot Rollout. Can't really hold it, though. And then you have dominant high ground over the tunnel. So by far, this is the most dominant position if you're going to be defending second. So you pretty much always want to have at least one person on here. But I've literally seen people stack 3 people on this shed because it honestly doesn't have much of a downside. And you even have this thing covering you. So, like, you get those nice headshot angles. Imagine you get a heavy up here, man. You're just head glitching people over this. That'd be kind of crazy. I don't know if it's possible. Can a heavy get on that? Oh, a heavy can get on this. Jesus. I mean, it'd be amusing, but probably impractical. But, like I said, you can't really hold Rollout from here. So, what that means is that it's very crucial that you also have someone holding this. So, you can have most of your team kind of around here near the point, but you need to have at least one person, probably a soldier. I think that this soldier... or this hallway is heaven for soldiers. It's pretty narrow. It's very flat, and you can play a corner to like peek spam it. So if you're a soldier, this should be one of your favorite places to hold. So that would be kind of the default setup that I would run here, is have most people, you know, near the shed, you know, maybe near the point. If you're doing a passive hold, you know, obviously back here would be fine as well. But say you're confidently holding second, you're going to want people, most of your team around the point, and maybe a couple people lurking around here. You know, flank scout maybe here, roamer here, something like that. You know, maybe flank scout poking down here. Anything like that is fine. You do have a good sight line here, so you can spot this pretty early just for info. And then potentially, you know, like I mentioned before, you know, wraps, back caps through there can happen. All right, so then once you take lobby, let's talk about pushing last. What are your options here? Well, obviously there's only 3 doors. So all of them are viable, though. If you're going to push to the right spawn, I think that, you know, this far right one is great because you have a very clean bomb, especially as a demo, to just secure the right spawn. And then, you know, decent vision of everything else. Main works well if you, I don't know, are trying to bomb a soldier with your Uber, probably. Because they can just jump through quickly, do a skip jump, whatever off this. Top left is also obviously good. So they're all pretty good. I think top left might be the best, though, personally. Because just the height is undeniable. This height control is so important, especially late in the fight. Because you just tower over the point, you know. So I would probably say the default best push, if you have Uber advantage, is top left. Uber through here, secure the top left, secure the spawn. And then I'm going to reveal to you probably the single most busted thing on this entire map. You got the point here. You can see on the bottom it says no capturing at this time. This is the cap zone. The cap zone also exists up here on this ledge. So this is probably the single most busted thing on this entire map. You can cap on this ledge, and if your team Ubers in top left, that is so safe. It's so safe. Like, a lot of times, their spam just won't hit you when you're up here because they're going to be shooting at the point. This angle is like so, they have to peek so wide to hit you there that this spot is almost a guaranteed cap if your team comes in with Uber. I don't know if people are going to have to start trapping, like, maybe right here. I think that would be a good spot to trap, honestly, because it's the only thing that could counter this spot is, like, put, like, 2 or 3 stickies right here. Maybe a little on this wall, all this kind of stuff. This is the spot where a lot of caps are going to go through if people are playing this properly. Besides that, it's just going to be kind of the standard Uber in, destroy a sentry, hold the left spawn, bait the cap, collapse on the other side. It's a lot easier on this map, honestly, because unlike something like Process or Sunshine, you don't really have any defensive position that you can, like, contest from behind the point. It's just spawn. That's all you have. So you can really lock down one side of the map and then just bait this point. So it works pretty well. So that's probably the default push, is to get the height and then just collapse on each spawn as they rotate. Now let's flip things around and, well, I guess I could talk a little bit more actually about pushing last, like what kind of sack opportunities you might have. There's a kind of infamous demo sack on this map where you air sticky, air pogo through this. I wouldn't recommend that. It's too risky, in my opinion, to sack your demo. But it could work. I do think main is probably where they're going to get in cleanest. And then I would probably say a sack, like, onto the right side. Any stragglers over here would be good picks to get. Or just taking this, like, free space around these walls could start destabilizing them. Because a lot of people are going to be holding fairly passive or on the right side. So a lot of that left area is going to be pretty open for just taking. Whether you're going to dry push or sack through there, be pretty good. If you're trying to get a force, it might be tricky because some of these walls are pretty awkward to jump off of. But I might just see you do like a skip jump off of here through main. You know, you could jump off that. You could jump off these pillars. You could, you know, maybe just walk around the corner and just jump straight into them. So there's decent jump sacks you can do as a soldier, and then as a scout, you know, it's not too hard to, like, run in through main and then just, like, commit off this angle. And also sniper is pretty damn good on this, I would say. Not only on the sightlines into lobby good, but sightlines out of lobby are pretty good as well. You can see a lot, especially if you wide peek on the right here. Like, you got the whole right spawn. You get peeks, like, sightlines into these stairs. And then if you can get in wider, like, you can literally see everything. So, sniper is pretty good here. So yeah, now let's flip it around. We're going to talk about holding last. So I'm actually going to quickly go over to the other side just so I can get into the spawn, because the spawn is important on this map. All right, first things first, default position. I think, yeah, right side is probably the default holding position. Again, the height. Controlling the height, very good. You can have, you know, people spamming into lobby, holding on top of all these kinds of spots. I actually saw a sniper surprise me once. He jumped up on this wall, and then he was sniping into lobby. So if you thought the sniper sightlines were bad already, like, you can stand on here and snipe people. So you gotta watch out for that. Might be a good little gimmick spot. Good sentry spots in this map. This corner, very difficult to spam out. You could maybe spam it from here, similar to how you would on, like, process. But it can be very difficult to spot. Another decent sentry spot would be maybe right here, like along this wall, because it will cover the whole point and it's not super easy to spam. And then besides that, probably just, you know, either spawn door would work just fine. I might, you know, put one like kind of around here, because it's not directly in any sight lines, covers the points, you know, all that kind of stuff. Heavy is pretty good late in this fight as well, just because, you know, you come out and you can see a lot of the point at like a pretty close range as a heavy. But I think one of the most important things to do on this last is going to be wrapping. If they Uber in top right, I think you can really bust into lobby. The doorways are really big. So if you like bomb in behind, you could flank someone in lobby. If you come in here and you could get in behind like upper onto them, so you can be ready to collapse post Uber. All that kind of stuff can be really good. I also think soldiers peeking this spawn could be pretty good as well. Or even like, you know, the heavy, as I mentioned, coming out late. If their team secures that side and your team secures this side, you can really bully out of this spawn, because you have pretty good angle at people that might be looking across to the other side. Obviously, watch out for traps. Then, yeah, I mean, the point's very big, so people are probably going to have to bomb and, like, try to die to block the cap. If you have good traps and a good sentry, it could buy you a little bit of time. But if you get locked in spawn, it's kind of GG. So you really can't have everyone coming out of spawn. You gotta have people ready to bomb, ready to fight for this. A decent bomb could be to just, like, high bomb over this and shoot people as they're on the point, because you don't really have anything to land on. I think the safest spot to land is like back at your own spawn door if you're gonna bomb over the point. Otherwise, you could maybe like just bomb forward like that and curve away to the sides, or, you know, maybe try to get on some of these spots, but you're probably gonna get shredded if you sit up there. So it can be a bit tough for soldiers this last, because there's not a lot of like decent safe high ground to land on. But you have some things. Maybe also lurking. I think you can lurk a little bit around this area to wait out an Uber. You know, like a little corner here. I don't know. Maybe chilling in this area to wait out an Uber and then flanking them when they come in could work as well. All right. So let's talk about pushing out a last. As I mentioned, this area is fantastic for a soldier, but it's also probably the biggest back cap threat on the entire map. Because it's such a quick passage to get through, and it takes you like immediately into last. So this route, the rollout door, has to be watched at all times. I would probably have a soldier dedicated to watching this. At least one soldier. Then, as I mentioned, this shed is a power position. I think one thing to try is putting a soldier up here. He can spam people off the shed. So you could potentially put 2 soldiers in this area, because they can at least get some decent spam out to push out a last. because you can hit little edges of this shed here. Then, as for your combo, I think that there's not really one best place to push out. And thankfully, it's really easy to rotate on this map. So I would probably default to having your combo kind of like come over towards here, maybe towards the shutter. Because if you're pushing on an ad, I think people are usually going to be playing passively, like over here. So shutter's going to be the furthest door away. So you're least likely to run into a heavy amount of resistance. But obviously, if they're holding their ground, like right here, and you are getting spammed out by the shed, it could be pretty hard. But the nice thing about this is your demo will have a pretty easy time spamming them off of the shed from here. So your combo can try to get through the shutter and move towards the point, kind of secure this area. You have this nice window as well, but obviously people can hide. So you gotta be careful. But you can easily rotate to upper lobby as well. And keep heals on your flank if they want to bust. So, as I mentioned, the underpass, very good for busting, causing a little bit of chaos. One play you could do is have someone push out a last through here and just counter jump people that are on the shed. Or, you know, have them just try to get in through here and flank anyone who's on the point. That's probably how I would organize it. So, simply put, to recap, probably have one soldier here. Our combo holding the lobby, looking to rotate to the area of the easiest push. And then one soldier that's either looking to counter jump people through underpass, or as I mentioned also before, you know, maybe get through bats and draw eyes and maybe go behind like this, because it's not as easy to hold from here, so it can be a really good initiation spot. Your flank scout kind of doing the same thing. So your flank has a lot of options for rotating, and I don't think they have to like commit to watching one or the other, because your combo can cover kind of 3 routes at once. That your flank has a little more freedom to move around the map. But notice again, it's kind of that 3-2-1 setup. You got your combo, you know, scout soldier demo, or sorry, scout medic demo maybe. If that's how your team plays, that's how my team plays. You might have a 3-2 on like one of the other doorways, and then a soldier holding this. So it is very different. 3-2-1 split instead of a 4-2 split. So yeah, and that'll allow you to bust out onto second. Again, similar to Snakewater though, and similar to the mid, the positioning on this point is really bad. Like if I'm stacking this point, I really can only hold this choke. Every other door is wide open. So it's kind of like being in a little box like you are in Snakewater. When you're on the point, you may feel like you're in a good safe position, but in reality you're boxed in completely by the shed, the train, the box, and the bats. On this one, it's kind of the same. You got this big shed, you got this wall, greenhouse, whatever. You're in a box. And so this gets completely conceded. This gets completely conceded. That one's barely held. The only one you can really hold is that. So when you're pushing out onto this map, you don't really want to stack the point if a lot of the enemy team is alive, or if they have Uber ad, because they can bust and catch you off guard, or they can just dry push back in. They can take over this with 0 resistance. If you're all over the point, they can start taking over all this. And thinking about, you know, situations where you push out and you're at Uber disad, like imagine they come around this corner, they just jump off this and pop through, they just caught your whole team. So it can be very risky to stack this point, so be careful about that. Then let's talk about holding second. As I mentioned, the shed is probably a pretty strong point for denying these sorts of doors, so you probably will almost always want to have it at least one person up here. You could, you know, similarly have someone here. You get a little vision into underpass, maybe surprise anyone that peeks this. This is a decent soldier spot as well, and you can be ready to do any sort of wraps or whatever. I do think a soldier works best pushing this one, because this height disadvantage is pretty bad for scouts. That having a soldier who can quickly equalize the height will help. Besides that, you know, you're probably just going to be kind of sitting a lot on these high ground spots back here on rollout. There's a little gimmick spot up on this. It's a really good soldier spam spot with almost no ability to return fire. I'm not sure if you can do it on this one as well. You probably... Oh, you can't, actually. So, there is that one little gimmick spot. Pretty good for spam. A couple plays that I'll mention for holding second. This can be a really good map for blind bombing around the corner. Because if you high bomb this, if anyone's peeking this, they might not see that. So you can shoot people that are kind of in this box that are looking right here. You jump over their heads and you can blast them in this box. That can be a really good play. Be mindful that this is kind of a dead end for a demo or a medic. So you really don't want to ever be caught down here because you can't exit. Even a scout might have trouble escaping. Only a soldier really is safe playing forward here because he can jump out easily. Whereas every other class is going to have to like climb this forklift to jump out, which is not something you can really expect to be able to do in the middle of a incoming enemy push. So positioning is very important. That if you're not in an even situation, like if you're at any sort of disadvantage, you don't want to be really any more forward than kind of playing in any of the exits, any of the choke points. So that's important there. As I mentioned earlier, wrapping is very possible on this map. So if you do peek, there's some good sightlines. I would recommend trying to get these sightlines when you're on defense so that you can spot any activity over there and spot whatever's in house. Can give you a lot of information about where they're positioned and where they're trying to push, so you can rotate, go for those wraps, that kind of stuff. Pushing into mid. It can be really difficult to push through house because this position will really put a lot of damage and pressure on you, and it's almost impossible to return that damage. It's kind of a blind corner, you know? So if I was going to come through house, I would need to be ready to like really quickly focus that guy off of that shed or just quickly bomb him. Or just have someone bust through. I think pushing into mid, honestly, coming through garage is one of the best ones, at least in terms of vision and spacing. Because if you do have your demo here, he can at least have a good angle to like shoot this guy off of the height. So if I'm trying to like push in with Uber and I'm trying to spam them off of height, I would probably come through garage. If I'm trying to pop through, I'd probably come through house. And if I'm trying to dry push, I'd probably come through underpass because it's the furthest one away from all the other doors. So all of them are viable. All of them are useful. But I think each of them is more tailored to one type of push. And I think that's about it for this map for Reckoner. Main, quirks again being kind of the 3-lane and the maybe different team composition, how you spread out on this map. And just, the quirks in terms of how you can cap each point. So, yeah, that's the map. Hopefully a lot of that helped. Good luck playing Reckoner this season. Looking forward to seeing how it goes.